Hey friends, it's Tracy. Welcome to today's video. I am going to be scratching something off of my list that I have been wanting to create for a very long time. Guys, I want to thank Cricut for sponsoring today's video because I am so in love with my Cricut Explore 3. Guys, I have been a Cricut user since 2009. I started out with the Cricut Expression, and for it to come, the technology to advance the way I have been playing with this Cricut Explore 3 for a few months, creating beautiful designs, and I am so excited to share those here with you. I'm also going to be using some of the smart vinyl because what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you and show you in Design Space how I created and mapped out the home sign that I created for my family's home, and I'm going to show you how I did it in Design Space and how we loaded all of the vinyl into our Cricut Explore 3, how I sent it. I don't have any wires attached to it except the cord, the power cord. That's the only thing that's attached, but my laptop is Bluetooth compatible, and so then it talks to my Cricut Explore 3. Now, you don't have to have a laptop. You can design on your iPad, you can design on your phone, you can also design on a desktop. But guys, if you are not familiar with what a Cricut is, it is a die cutting machine that you can create beautiful works of art for your home, for gifts, for coworkers, for your handmade business, or just because. Anyway, just one project. What I'm going to share with you today is just one of millions that you can create. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started, and let me show you how I created this home sign for my family. The base of my sign is this 14-inch circle, and then what I did, guys, is I hand painted it and did a 1/2-inch border around it. Okay, guys, we are here in Cricut Design Space, and this is the online software that Cricut has for us to use to design our beautiful projects. So let me show you how I designed this very popular and very trending craft that we're doing, and that we can use for gifts and also things to sell for craft shows and that kind of thing. All right, so I want to pull in a shape, and I'm going to pull in a circle because that is the template that we're using. And since, let me pull this over just a little bit, and so that I can work with it a little bit better. And I know that I want, okay, so my finished size is 14 inches. And since I have that painted border around there, I want my inside circle to be 13 inches. So I'm going up here at the top, and I am just going to put 13 inches, and that also, gives a proportion for the other side. So I have a 13-inch circle. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom and just decrease the size a bit so that I can work with it a little bit better. And so then now this is my 13-inch circle. So to just me, it's black, but I'm going to use black vinyl. So I'm just going to go up here to the top and just change this to this color so that I can see it a bit better. Now I have a 13-inch circle, so I know that I don't want my text to be any bigger than this. So to put my text in, I'm going to go over here to the text panel, and so up here is my text. So I'm going to bring that over here, and this is where I'm just going to type making a house home. All right, so now I know this is way too big, so I'm going to have to use the return button, and by default it's Cricut Sans, but I'm going to change that to the font that I want, and the font that I'm using is BFC Caramel Cake Pop. So to find that, I'm going up here to my font drop down, click that, and it has all our system, what's on our computer or Cricut, but we're just using the Cricut fonts today because that's what we want to do. And I can, just quickly scroll through here and find the BFC Caramel Cake Pop, or I can go up here to search fonts and find it really quick right here. And this is included in the Access program for Cricut Design Space. All right, so then now what I'm doing is, I want to get this the size that I want. So I am just kind of bringing it up here, using my mouse to do that. Now, I need to center this and I need to make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to unlock it right here with the little lock. And I can pull this a bit wider or a bit down. And so first, then let me lock that back. But I'm going to go here to align. And I want to select center so that my phrase is centered. And so then by having that little lock, I can, move that box around. So I will unlock it again. And I want to get the kind of like the width that I want. And I know that I need to stay within this circle because it's 13 inches. Now there's too much space in between this making a house or home. And so I'm going to lock that back so that I don't, mistakenly do anything with those letters. So I'm going to go up here to line space, and I am just going to click the down arrow because you can see on the screen, it is just continuing to decrease that line, and I just keep doing it, decreasing the line until I have the space, of the lines the way that I want. All right, so then there we go. So we're good. We're good with making a house our home. All right, so then now I'm going to pull in a shape. No, not a shape. I'm going to pull in a image, and because I want a little house, and it doesn't have to be anything, real fancy. So I'm just going to type in house and click the return button or the enter button so that it pulls up the house. And actually this one right here is the one that I want to use. And so the Cricut Access program, if you can use those, if you subscribe to that, or if you have, any of these images purchased or whatever, it'll have a little green flag at the top. And so then I select the one I want, and then I click add to canvas. And so it just pops right here. And so then I just grab it and just kind of put it on my board and the way that I want. Now, before I kind of play around with that, I'm going to go ahead and put in my other words and that kind of thing so that I know how much space. I don't want to waste the time messing with the house, make it a bit bigger without knowing how much space I have to use. All right. So then I'm going to put in another text. I'm going to put in our last name. So I click the text button, and then let me bring this over here onto our board, and I'm going to put in our last name. All right, because I'm going to be putting the Wellmans with a different font. So I'm going to show you how to do that and how simple Cricut Design Space makes that for us to do. All right, so this is the size that it is, and I want it bigger, of course, and I want it a little bit taller. So I'm going to go ahead and click the unlock button and just kind of grab it here at the bottom and just kind of, I can kind of play around with it just by holding my mouse down, and by, once I release it, then that is the size that it is. And so I'll just continue to play around with it until I got the size that I want. And so this is the font that it's pulling that BFC Caramel Cake Pop, but that's not let me lock this back so I don't accidentally hit something and it's gonna, I don't know, resize it or whatever. So for my last name, what I want to do is I want to use BFC Clementine. That is the one I want to use, and that's just right here. And I just like that shape of it. And so, you know, you can just play around with different fonts. You can play around with different styles and, you know, make them individual. It's so fun just to kind of play around with this and just kind of get the sizing that I want. Okay. All right. So then now that I have this done, and then I want to make the word the different. And so I pull in another text box. You can put as many as you want to your board because this is your creation. All right, so I'm going to put it right here. And of course, I'm going to want to resize that. And so then I double click on it to get my cursor and then write the word the. And so then that is how that looks. I think I've decided that I'm going to use the font BFC Flannel Shirt because it's a little bit more of a script font and you can have them all be the same font. You can mix and match the fonts. That is what is the beauty of Cricut Design Space, is because it has so many options for us. So I like that. And I can kind of, you know, hold my left mouse down and see this little arrow right here if I want to kind of turn it or tilt it just a little bit. If I want to make this a little bit smaller, I can do it like that. If I want to make it a little bit wider, I would maybe unclick it and just kind of make it a little bit wider. Click it back to lock it so that it kind of all keeps a proportion and that kind of thing. So I kind of liked it at the beginning, the way that I had it. So I am going to just do the undo button, and I want to kind of tilt this just a little bit. I could get lost for hours with this. I mean, it's not going to take that long, but I just love like creating all these different things and just having it be, you know, your own creation. All right. So then down here is where we're going to put the established date, like the date that the year that we got married. So I'm just kind of moving this around. And so then now, since I have my last name on there, I know how much space I need for my my house. So now I need to resize that. So if I'm going to unlock it, and then I'm going to use these arrows right here to make this house a bit longer and just kind of center that the way that I want. Now, if I wanted to, I could change the color of this and cut it out in a different vinyl, but I don't want that right now. I just want to make this very simple and just easy for those that, you know, may be new to the Cricut and new to the die cutting system, and just letting you know how easy it is just to, you know, cut these beautiful things out with your Cricut. You can get more advanced as you get more experience and make these signs or other things for your home just beautiful. All right, so then I'm going to be using the same font. So what I can do is I can click another text box, or I can click on this word and go up here to duplicate. And what it's going to do is it's going to duplicate a word or whatever I clicked or whatever image I clicked. Or, you know, if I wanted two of these houses, I could click duplicate. So that's what that duplicate button is. It just means to copy and paste. All right. So then I'm going to turn that a little bit more even. So then I'm going to double click on it and it's going to give me the cursor. And so then I just click the back button and I'm going to put EST period. Now, as you can see, this font that I chose, the BFC flannel shirt, it's more of a script font. And see, the E and the S and the T is a little bit too, I want them to be more joined together. And so I know this may be a little bit intimidating to newer people who are new to Cricut Design Space or in designing with the Cricut, but it's not that intimidating. And guess what? The undo button is your best friend, because if it's something you don't like, you can just undo it and it will put back what you've done, previously. All right, so then what I want to do is first of all, I need to get these letters individually. So I want to ungroup them with its like highlight it with the box around it. I want to ungroup them. So I'm going to go up here to ungroup. And what that's going to do is that's going to give me the option to move these around. So I'm holding my left mouse down, my finger on my left mouse, and I'm just moving these, letting it go once I pick up another letter. So I'm just kind of letting that go. Let me increase that a bit more, just the zoom of it, so that I can get these letters the way that I want, because I don't want them to be overlapping too much so that I don't see or that you can see the other area, when it comes outside of the letter. All right, so I think I like that. So I'm going to zoom back out. I need to move this out of the way. And so what I want to do is I want to gather these or group them together so that they don't move, because I was moving them just a tad and I don't want that. All right, so I'm just going to pull out a diagonal. It's going to put a box around them. So it kind of like, it's like a grabber or like a finger, like if you like a hand, how you just want to grab them together. All right, so then what I want to do is I want to group them back. And then since they're a script and they were kind of, they're touching each other, I'm going to weld them together. That's another thing that is, a little confusing to folks, but that just kind of, it keeps that one piece together, just like that. All right, so then let's move our circle back, because this is just a template. We're not going to be cutting out this circle. I just want to make sure that everything that I put on here fits on this circle. So this EST is just a bit big, so I'm going to kind of downsize that just by pulling in that right lower arrow right there. All right, and then if I click out anywhere on my screen, it just kind of gives me the I can go back to, it takes the boxes away, so I can kind of start fresh kind of thing. All right, so then now I want to figure out what I want to use for my date, and so I'm putting in another text, and usually it pulls the last font that you had used. So I double click to get my cursor, and I'm just doing 1995. Because that is the year that we established our home. And so let's see, I don't think I want that font. All right, so then for that 1995, what I used is the font BFC Love Story. And I kind of, shrunk it down to the size that I want. I made sure that the lock was on there and everything is good to go. So I have Making a House Our Home. I have the size of the house that I want. I have the Wellmans the way that I want them, established 1995. And looking at it a little bit now, I just kind of was eyeballing it, and I was like, yeah, maybe I want that 1995 just a little bit bigger. And so that's what's good about Design Space, is that we can just, look at it the way that we want, and, work with it a little bit different. Okay, so then now I am going to, cut this out all in black vinyl, because that was my preference, but you can get creative by working with different vinyl. And but for the black, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. I can either delete it
or I can go over here to the side and I can just click the eyeball and it just kind of hides it. And if I want to bring it back, I can unclick the eyeball right here. But I'm just gonna, for video purposes, I'm just hiding that eyeball. And so everything like this is going to be cut out for my 13-inch circle. So I want to attach everything, and that just means to kind of like put your foot on it and you're not moving anywhere. So I want to gather all that together. So I just grab a like a diagonal square, and it's kind of a gray thing, and it just goes around it. And I'm going to go down here to attach, because of what that does is that just says, you sit here. It's kind of like a small child. You go, you sit here until I tell you to move. All right. So then now we are good to go. And I'm going to send this to my Cricut Explore 3 using my smart vinyl. So we're going to go ahead and make that. So I'm going to go ahead and click make it. And it's going to ask me what materials I want to use. So it says that it was sorting mats by color, but I only have one color because it's black. So you can see here if I'm going to be using the smart vinyl. So I'm going to click that, click continue. I'm going to click continue again. And then now we're going to cut it out.
So that didn't take long at all using that permanent smart vinyl, and now I'm going to be using my clear transfer tape that Cricut also has available for us to use. So I'm using my Cricut trimmer just to trim everything down, and I like to use this so that I have a straight edge to start my next project with. Another thing that I like to do is just kind of cut away the excess of the vinyl so that when I start weeding it, I don't have all that extra stuff to play with. Now, what I'm using here is a Cricut BrightPad. This is something that I invested in a few years ago, and it just makes my weeding, it just helps me see those little lines. It's bright where you can see it, and so I will have a link to that in the description box below. Another thing that helps me is I kind of cut off the excess vinyl as I go along. Every crafter or every creator does things a little bit different. I'm using my poking tool, just to kind of help. I'm using my spatula to help me. So at this point, I'm like, you know what, just go ahead and cut it apart because I was going to try to weed it all and like have it all together, but I'm like, oh no, that is not going to work. So I left this in here just to assure you that, you can do things, you can cut it all out at one time, but then how you kind of put it onto your circle or on your surface, you can just work that out. So I'll just continue to weed this all. I'm doing the house, and then I'll do our last name, and then I'll do the established date, and then we're going to put it all on, we're going to transfer it onto the transfer tape, and then I'm going to put that on to my circle, and it's going to be so cute, and I'm just so glad that I finally did this, and I thank Cricut for sponsoring today's video. Creating this project could not have been any simpler than with my Cricut Explore 3 and the Smart Vinyl. The transfer tape worked very well for me to, go ahead and put my vinyl down. And this is the finished project, guys. I am so happy with it, and Cricut Design Space made it so simple. All right, guys, here's a few more videos. I do have a playlist of my Cricut videos, as well as I am linking to Cricut's official channel here on YouTube. All right, guys, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching. Y'all have a blessed day.